Peace, everyone. This is Illmatical broadcasting live and direct from Ho Chi Minh City for one more week. So I wanted to create uh, a video, a response video, and for a very sensitive subject. A Vietnamese guy called Troy Wing. I think his last name, you might pronounce it Nguyen, but it's actually the way they say it is Wing. So he made a video called 99% of the white guys in Asia are losers. Now, let me add on to this, and I think I'm a safe person to add on to this discussion because number one, I'm not partial to either Asians or the Europeans, quote unquote white people, and I'm also a journalist. So let me add on to this discussion. Troy basically tore an asshole in the majority. Hold on, white guys, don't get upset because I'm gonna add on to your defense later. He basically tore asshole, and for about, I have to say about, he said 99% of the guys in Asia were losers and they couldn't get any pussy back home in the United States or Europe or whatever. I think 99% is too high. Um, I could say about 75%, 75 or 80%. He told these guys an asshole. He ethered a lot of these guys because what's happening here is this. Let me tell you what's happening. Um, in China, when I was in China, right when I left China, okay, let me explain how I found out about this whole thing. A lot of European dudes, white guys, if you call them white, they come, European or European Americans, they come to Asia and they start acting like they're rock stars. They show up, they have nothing else going on for them except, just, they may just, the only thing they got going on is their complexion connection. And fine, but I'm gonna get on that later. I'm not saying that's wrong. So, they come here and they act like they're rock stars and they're getting a lot of pussy and some of the Asian guys are getting a little upset about this. But now, here's what happened in China when I left. There's a website called China Smack, and there was a thread, a legendary thread got circulated. All these Chinese girls realized that these rock stars that they were dating were actually losers. The drunk dude showing up, guys who's coming to China, who's quote unquote teaching English, were basically just showing up, getting drunk every day. Getting drunk, basically functional alcoholics, no goals, no marketable skills for doing anything else. And even in terms of the teaching, they weren't qualified teachers. They weren't certified. They don't have degrees in education. Um, so they were just basically getting by on their complexion of their skin. And these girls outed them. They dogged them. They said and they realized like these guys were losers, and they came up with this term LBH. And now I think that term has been around for a while, but that's when I first started hearing it. Loser back home. And so Troy made this video, and he was a little bit harsher. He just basically said a lot of these guys are losers. They're not getting any ass back in the United States. Now, let me clarify this based on my experience and based on what I've seen. Like I said, I think 99% is a little too high. I have met plenty of, in my paths, because I don't hang out a lot in bars and shit. Most of the Caucasian guys that I've run into, usually the ones that I've bothered to have conversations with, are usually very level-headed. Because the people that I'm magnetic, and the people that I draw toward me, these are guys who are like into Chinese culture. They'll be more into Chinese culture, and I'm saying and trust me when and I'm not speaking their defense when some white guys are into some culture, whether it be it could be hip hop. When they're into something, they will marry it, and it will be like they'll be more Chinese than the most Chinese guy in the world. And I've seen these guys in Beijing. They're not messing around, but they're not the majority. Like I said, there's a small percentage. So if you okay, that statement is especially, but now a lot of these guys are losers when you're dealing with Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is a serious problem here. You got guys who not only could they not get any ass back in the United States, But you're talking about men who are like 50 and 60 years old. You know, a guy who's got nothing else going on for him. Loser, big time loser. But when he comes to Southeast Asia, thank goodness for his complexion, because yeah, he can find a 20 something year old woman that will marry him and will be happy to marry him. And that's the way things are here. Usually, I think you'll find more sophisticated Caucasians in cities like Hong Kong and Shanghai, because these are more developed and sophisticated um, foreigners in general. Now, in the even the Europeans, in terms of European Americans or Europeans in their defense, they're doing this because you created the environment for them. Asian people, you created this environment and you allowed them to do this. Let me explain why. On my Facebook feed this morning, there was a clip of some people down on the street in Ho Chi Minh. It's called Boi Vien. Excuse me if I'm not saying correctly. I don't know because I don't never go down there. I've been in 6 months and I rarely go down there. So this guy, this Caucasian dude, this European American or whatever, he's dancing in the middle of the street. He can't fucking dance, and all the Vietnamese people are applauding him. Nothing special about him. And he takes his pants down, and he's mooning everybody, and they start clapping him and encouraging him. And it's the kind of behavior. And he looked like he might have been late 20s, early 30s. And if he was back in Boston or maybe he's from some city in Australia, he's not doing this. They just gonna people are looking at him like, who's this fucking loser? But he comes here, does something stupid like this, and you applaud him. And that's the reason why they're doing this. Is because they've been given this platform. You got in China, you have whiteface jobs. European American people, the people you call white, they know that they can come to China, get a job sitting in someone's office, or just showing up at a meeting, not doing anything, not knowing anything, and Chinese people will pay them to do that. Again, you've created the atmosphere. You've created it. There was a real big issue about 2 years ago with this guy named Julian. He was like this expert dater. He offered expert dating advice, and one of the guys, there was a clip of this guy who's like an IT worker in Hong Kong, just taking this Chinese girl from her boyfriend. He just took her, and the girl went with him. And they found out like he was one of these guys who's like belongs to some kind of a group of guys who go around hunting for Asian girls. And the guy who taught him all this stuff, I think his name was Julian or whatever the case may be. But Julian says emphatically, if you are Caucasian or you're white and you're walking around in Japan and stuff, basically all you gotta do is run up to the girl and grab the bitch. Now, is that right for me to say that? No, man, but like that's how it is. You created the platform. And here's the thing. These people, you call them white, how did their skin wind up looking the way it does? They were in a certain climate for thousands of years. They lost color. They became pale. They're not white. Okay? And what happens? You want to spend your time looking like them. So what you do is, I've seen it here, they have anti-melanin cream. Basically, white, everything here is whitening cream. So, you putting all this shit on your skin and your body to make yourself look like them. What are the women supposed to think? That they're better. So here's the thing. You don't like what's going on, but you're also involved. You created a platform where whiteness, light skin, pale skin is excellent. And guess who by default wins that fucking conversation? Alright, so like I said, I just wanted to add on to it as an observer. He made a good video. He's right. Most of the majority of Caucasian or European, whether it be European or European American English teachers in Southeast Asia are losers, without a doubt. But that platform exists because Asian people have allowed it and sustained it. All right, peace.